Hello everyone, this is part 26 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. A megacore, Akatsuki Tower. A swirl tore through the still air in the tallest tower of a megacore, and the man in the orange mask appeared with a murderous aura hovering over his body. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan glared around the room at the surviving members of the Akatsuki. A full recall had been ordered and the organization was in shambles after the last 2 weeks of activity. Looking around, Madara, Tobi, Obito saw that only Kakuzu, Kisame, Zetsu, Pain and Konan remain of the organization. Obito growled lowly through his mask and let his aura flare to display his displeasure with the current events. Report. He bellowed. He no longer felt like using the idiot Tobi mask and he was going to take control of his organization. Pain, acting through Yahiko's body, looked around impassively, ignoring Madara's rage before answering. Sasori and Deidara are dead at the hands of the Ichibi Jinchuriki and the 4th Kazekage. We no longer have access to spies in Suna, so we do not know the amount of damage caused. Pain paused here before continuing. A week ago, Kisame was nearly killed before Zetsu rescued him from the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. It appears Hisashi died to the Kyuubi Jinchuriki in his attempt to save Kisame. Kisame growled menacingly before shouting, "Don't forget what that bastard did to Samehada." Pain edged his head at the unusual outburst and display of emotion. Explain. Kisame's growl faded, and he sounded sad. The brat did something to Samehada. He put his hand on it and let it absorb his chakra. Now, the whole damned sword is just a heavy piece of stone. Black Zetsu spoke up here, that is the effect of rampant nature energy. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is the most prolific sage since the Sage of Six Paths. If Samehada absorbed his chakra, then it wouldn't be able to handle it. Kisame groaned in sorrow and rage. Obito retook control of the meeting. What proof do we have that Hisashi is dead and hasn't betrayed us? White Zetsu spoke this time. The mountain that was destroyed in his fight against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and the ring finger left in one of many piles of blood. Obito growled, "Shit. At least we got the ring back." Pain, how do you plan to deal with the Kyuubi? You are now the only member remaining that can stand up to the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Pain, through Yahiko's body, shook his head negatively. "No, I can no longer stand up to the boy. We will need to assault with everyone and catch him off guard if we wish to capture him." Obito could no longer stand the setbacks. He was so close to accomplishing his mission and achieving his dream. All he wanted was to spend life in his eternal genjutsu paradise with Rin. The Senju boy was never supposed to be this strong and his plans would have to change. Madara would be furious if he were resurrected below full strength, and he knew that he couldn't take on Pain yet. He needed Pain weakened further if his betrayal were to work. What should we do moving forward? We have Iwa and Am at our disposal. Kakuzu said, before adding, "And if you tell me to fight the Senju brat, then I am out." He took 2 of my hearts in one move. Kisame nearly barked, if sharks could bark, at Kakuzu's cowardice. Coward. Kakuzu shrugged. "Look, Sharky, I joined because it was a profitable venture. One boy just changed that. Until we find a way to deal with the Senju boy, we will continue losing. What about all of us attacking Konoha?" Kisame offered. Obito considered it, but Pain shut the idea down. "We have been unable to penetrate the defenses. If Suna is that well defended, then Konoha will be worse. Zetsu is unable to enter the forests of Fire Country, Konan cannot fly overhead due to the barriers, Madara's special technique is nullified in most of the city. So, we lure him out," Obito offered. Konan edged her head. "How?" Obito turned his orange mask toward Konan. "Let me think about that for a while. Preparations will need to be made. For now, we need to seal the 3 tails. I was able to capture it under the noses of the Mizukage." Kakuzu looked between Obito and Pain. "Is this guy in charge now?" Obito remained silent and waited for Pain's answer. "No, he is an agent of God. I trust his judgment in this. Let us lure the Kyuubi out of its lair. Leave us and prepare to seal the 3 tails. As the room cleared, Obito walked over to Pain and Conan. There was a tense silence that permeated the room. Two powerful auras were flaring and clashing against one another as Conan watched on with a trickle of sweat running down the back of her neck. Her lips remained pursed, and he face emotionless as the conversation began. I trust you still believe in our mission, Pain. Obito said in a low tone. Yahiko's body looked condescendingly towards Obito. Yes, Obito, I believe in the mission. Tell me, how do you plan on dealing with this overwhelming force? Obito said, not even wincing anymore when Pain used his real name. It was a real shock when Conan and Pain had confronted him about that. He still didn't know how they discovered his Idini, but he assumed it had something to do with the Rinnegan. He was still mad that he couldn't use those eyes himself yet. His injured body would never have been able to sustain Hashirama's cells and the Rinnegan. That was why this puppet was installed by Madara, but damn did it make things inconvenient. Pain replied in a steady monotone, care to elaborate? Obito growled at the obvious tone of condescension. Give me some time to think it out. The Zetsu army is ready. Iwa is almost ready. Am is ready. The time approaches when we must take what we need by force. Pain, in Yahiko's body, raised an eyebrow in a gesture thick with condescension. That is your big idea. Throw the whole world into war when we only have 3 of the Biju. The Senju boy is enough to vanquish armies at this point. The only way to deal with him is quality and number. Conan backed Pain up. He is right. We must presume that the boy has unparalleled sensory capabilities in his sage mode. We cannot even count on the element of surprise anymore. Obito chuckled lowly, so, we put him in a position where he can't run away, and he must fight. You just gave me an idea. Later, Conan appeared in a collage of paper next to Nagato's real body. His condition was stable, but that didn't mean it was good. Nagato, must we still continue on this path? Nagato cast a weary gaze towards Conan. Conan, I do not trust my cousin with the mission of bringing peace to the ninja world yet. Conan hit Nagato with her most incredulous look. The boy has outplayed us at every turn. He has united 4 of the Great 5. What more must he do to make you believe? Nagato's weariness turned to anger, and he raised his voice. I have the eyes of God. The boy has shown nothing except the ability to deal with mortal men. Conan scoffed. You are no god, Nagato. You once understood that you were a man, a good man, that wanted to use his power to protect the people of our country. Nagato winced at the pained tone of his childhood friend. She was always by his side, always believed in him, always tethered him to reality. Conan, we cannot give up now. If he bests my paths, then I will start to believe. Conan looked skeptically at him. So, you basically want the kid to kill you before you believe in him? Nagato signed, weariness overtaking him once more. Yes, Conan, I have chosen my path. Conan stepped over to the body immobilized on the throne of sorts and put a hand on Nagato's shoulder. Then, I guess I am with you to the end. Konoha, 1 week after attack on Suna. Shikamaru Nara winced as he rubbed his sore face once more. He had been dispatched on back-to-back troublesome missions and he was on the receiving end of the Nara women's frying pan no jutsu when he returned home. Who knew that Hikari had picked up so well on his mother's lessons? How did she even do that when she spent most of the last 3 years away from her? Flashback, 20 minutes ago. Shikamaru yawned as he left the Hokage Tower to return to his compound. He was tailed by Naruto, Tsunade, Temari, Ino and Samui, who were all having an animated conversation about how much they were going to miss Suna. As the group entered the gates to the Nara compound, a resounding clang rang out over the still air of the Nara lands. The Nara deer all turned their heads towards the origin of the sound, the Nara men all winced and the Nara women all smirked. However, it wasn't a Nara that was standing over Shikamaru, it was a pissed-off Senju woman with a tick mark on her left temple. Shikamaru Nara. What did I tell you would happen if you didn't take me on a date within a week of my return to Konoha? Hikari screamed with Yoshino Nara smirking proudly over her shoulder. Shikamaru grabbed his red face with an open palm and tried to rub out the pain left by the impromptu greeting from a frying pan. Don't be troublesome, Hikari, it is your brother's fault. Hikari shook her frying pan at Shikamaru and Yoshino pulled out her own and mirrored her. Don't give me that excuse, Shikamaru Nara. You had a full week before your mission to Roto. You then had a couple days in between that and your mission to Suna. Shikamaru winced and bowed his head. Look, hick. Yoshino didn't let the excuse exit her troublesome son's mouth. She lashed out lightning fast with her frying pan and put a lump on the back of his head. No excuses. I swear to Kami and everything holy, Shikamaru Nara, if you lose this girl, I will wake you with my pan every remaining day of your miserable life. Shikamaru looked around for support and noticed that Naruto was smirking down at him while all of the women were glaring. He turned into a lazy position of prostration and put his forehead into the dirt. I apologize, Hikari. It wasn't my intention to delay our date. May I ask to take you out tomorrow? Hikari positioned her hands on her hips, with her right hand still holding a pan, and she, hemmed, at Shikamaru before a sly grin flitted onto her face. You may pick me up at 5. End of flashback. How do those damned frying pans hurt after 30 minutes? Shikamaru groaned to Naruto over the shogi board. Naruto chuckled before moving his piece, because you messed with the wrong woman, that's how. And don't forget, you have 3 years of makeup dates, bro. Shikamaru groaned once more and smashed his head into the board, basically declaring he resigned. Why did I get involved with you troublesome Senju? All I wanted in life before you showed up was to have an average ninja career, marry an average woman, have 2 kids and die happy. Where did it all go wrong? A scowl drew the boys' attention to the door where they saw a feminine hand holding a frying pan, which made Shikamaru flinch backwards. They then heard a cacophony of girly giggles before the door to the kitchen closed completely. Naruto shook his head before he shrugged. Mare, she is worth it, and you are better off for it. Shikamaru turned his head, which was still on the ground. I should have stayed far away from you troublesome blondes. Naruto laughed. That would have been boring. Then, you would have been a trash mob side character like everyone else from Iwa. Nothing wrong with being a side character, Ruto. Shika groaned. Naruto laughed and slapped him on the back and returned the words the old Shikamaru once said to him. Don't sell yourself short, brother. You are a good man with a brilliant mind and a lazy heart. Trust me, love, especially love like Hikari's, is what makes this life worth living. Shikamaru finally rose up from the ground with a small smile on his face. Yeah, I guess you're right. So, you are okay with me being with your sister, Shika. She is no longer a part of me. Yay, your sister. You approve. Naruto smirked. This would have been a very different conversation if I didn't. Naruto hopped to his feet and held out a hand to the lazy Nara. The two then joined Shikaku in the dining room, where they realized that they were totally outnumbered. Troublesome women. Old frenemies and last chances. The return to Konoha from the Suna and Oto sent ripples of rumors ripping through Konoha. There were mentions of the Senju clan, Naruto, the Uchiha clan, the death of Orochimaru and Task Force Anaconda flittering about the rumor mill like leaves in an autumn wind. It certainly made walking down the streets of Konoha interesting for Naruto and the rest of the Senju family. It wasn't bad, but it was annoying. Tsunade was sick of dealing with questions of confirmation from the villages and apologies for her family's treatment. It made every errand run a menace that took thrice as long. It made every walk to the hospital agitating, and it didn't take long for Tsunade to curse Naruto for disabling Shunshin in the village. She walked into the hospital and down to the lower levels. She passed multiple squads of Anbu, passed through 3 barriers and finally went through advanced screening seals administered by Cat and Eagle. Heya, you two, any changes in our guests? Tsunade asked before sipping on her cup of coffee. Cat bowed before answering, they are up and about, but they are all miserable s. I swear, I would have rather talked to Yami in full Biju mode before I spend another minute dealing with the Uchiha boy. Eagle chuckled, the water kid is funny, a bit, like a lot a bit, overconfident, but funny, nonetheless. Don't even waste your time on Gurren until your brat can remove the cursed seals. Tsunade grimaced, who would have thought that the snake pedophile could have such a devoted fangirl. Cat made a gagging sound behind her mask. EWW, Lady Tsunade. I didn't need that mental image. Tsunade belted out a laugh. Alright you two, thank you. Have a nice day and don't be scared to mess with my brat when he gets here. Eagle shuffled nervously before turning to Cat. We don't have to mess with the kid, right? Cat shook her head, knowing exactly where Eagle was going with this. Nah, it doesn't work on him anyway. Let's just not and say we did. Tsunade walked into the advanced cell block and put on the bracelet that exempted her from the chakra null zone. She went over the charts and medical data concerning the patients that had all been enjoying an extended medical exam. She hummed in interest as she made the connections of the resting biological effects of the new cursed seal. She then picked up Jugo's chart and her eyes widened slightly. She set the charts down after noting her thoughts that she needed to share with Naruto and her apprentices. She really missed Shizune at times like this, but she was happy for her surrogate daughter that was starting her new life with her family. She then nicked her thumb and slid it over the seal in front of a cell door. She looked at the boy that was restrained in leather cuffs that were seal reinforced on the bed. Hey, brat, here to talk to you again. Tsunade chirped before sitting down and clicking on the recorder. Sasuke grunted, HN. Tsunade tapped her pencil on her clipboard before sipping on her coffee. She continued to slurp extra loudly until Sasuke continued. What do you want, T? Tsunade flipped the pencil in the air, sped to Sasuke, dope slapped him and sat back down in her seat and caught the pencil. I am going to pass that one off as the effects of the cursed seal. Tell me, brat, do you know what that seal does to you? HN, it gives me power. I am powerful enough to eclipse my brother and that stupid brat of yours. Tsunade couldn't help herself. She broke out in full-blown laughter. She spilled her coffee, slapped her knee loudly and pointed at Sasuke. Sasuke growled, shut up, T. If he didn't fight me with the other rookies, I would have destroyed him. Another flip of the pencil and dope slap later, Tsunade looked deadpanned at him. Look, brat, it is so pathetic it doesn't deserve further commenting. Let me put this in perspective, little Uchiha, you were instantly bested by a single wood clone of his. According to reports, you were in your fancy little cursed seal stage 2. Cute, but you are no closer to touching the moon than you are to overpowering my boy. This made Sasuke growl and the cursed seal attempted to spread, but the chakra null zone kept it locked down. What the F do you want? Tsunade looked bored but addressed him, I am trying to see if you are even worth saving. Tell me, Sasuke, would you rather be killed or have the cursed seal removed and go through rehab? The straightforward tone of Tsunade made Sasuke gulp and for once his anger backed down and his pride gave way to reason. I don't want to die. I want to best my brother and your son. He is for all intents and purposes my son. Tsunade filled in the term for him. Sasuke nodded weakly, yes, son, well, I choose option 2. Tsunade nodded and offered a small, genuine smile. Good. Now, did you go to Naruto willingly or did Orochimaru force you? Also, do you know anything about your drug treatments? Sasuke's head fell and his hair shadowed his eyes. No, I didn't go willingly. I woke up after the invasion in a cell. I don't know how long I was in there. I don't know what Kabuto did to me. I just know that it made me stronger. Tsunade offered a reassuring smile, well, we have Kabuto's notes on your treatment somewhere. We are still going through everything we took from Orochimaru. In time, I will know what they did, and I will help counter it. Sasuke grimaced, do I have to get rid of the seal? It makes me stronger. Tsunade snapped her pencil and glared at Sasuke, look, brat, deal is your life or the seal. If you choose the seal, you die. I don't think you know what is in the seal, so let me fill you in. In that abomination there is a loyalty seal, a mood suppression seal, an anger enhancement seal, a bastardized senjutsu seal and a body modification component. The only, and I mean only, thing in that seal that makes you stronger is the senjutsu component. Tsunade held up her hand to halt Sasuke's interruption. You don't have training in controlling senjutsu chakra and as I said, the seal bastardizes the whole process of absorbing natural energy. You can't use it to a quarter of its potential. But isn't senjutsu why Naruto is so strong? Sasuke said weakly. Tsunade shook her head, look, brat, I am a sage too. Yes, it makes you stronger. Far stronger than any seal from the snake. Trust me, if you commit to fixing yourself and go through rehab, you can get plenty strong. You will have to find a new summoning contract thought. The snakes cancelled your contract for what you did though. Before Sasuke could shout and groan about that, Naruto, Itachi and Mikoto walked into the room. Mikoto instantly ran over and embraced Sasuke in a hug. Itachi stood over his mother and little brother while Naruto talked to Tsunade. What's the damage, Mama? Tsunade gave Naruto Sasuke's medical chart, and he reviewed it for a while. After reviewing, he handed it back to Tsunade and stepped towards Sasuke. He tapped 2 seals on his bracelet, closed his eyes and clapped his hands, and Sasuke gasped when Naruto flickered into Golden Sage mode. Sasuke was so stunned, he didn't resist when Naruto placed one glowing hand over his heart and the other on top of his head. Sasuke felt the energy flow through him, and he felt a momentary reprieve from the anger and hatred that had boiled through him for the past 3 years. After a couple minutes, Naruto's eyes opened, and he looked down at Sasuke. Alright, good news or bad news first? Mikoto squeezed Sasuke's hand and Sasuke answered, bad news first. Naruto sighed, look, removing the cursed seal is going to lay you out for a while. I am guessing you used it every day and the second stage embedded it deep in your chakra circulatory system. Not only will it hurt like but you won't be able to use chakra for 3 or 4 months. To make matters worse, the seal contains a piece of Orochimaru's soul. Not a particularly big issue, but there is a chance it will rebel when I try to remove it. Mikoto gasped and Itachi put a comforting hand on her shoulder before speaking. I presume you have a way to counter it. Naruto aired an eyebrow at Itachi, yeah, I do. Kurama offered to devour it. Now that I think about it, I will actually do that before removing the seal itself. Sasuke finally recovered from the shock of Naruto's sage mode. How did you get that strong? What was that chakra? Naruto sighed, it was always about power with Sasuke. In this life or the last, it never changed. Look, Sasuke, I made peace with myself and my past on top of other advantages I have. Mikoto squeezed Sasuke's hand once more, when can we do this? Naruto looked to Tsunade and then Itachi. I want to do it right. Give me a week to develop a stabilizing seal to minimize the damage to your chakra network. Tsunade also needs time to identify the foreign enzyme, and once she does that, she can neutralize it. Then, we will be ready. Itachi nodded, very well. What of the other prisoners? Tsunade answered, here, we can try removing the cursed seals, but I don't know. They never showed us any loyalty. The Uzumaki girl is a given, but the crazy sage and the water boy are unlikely. Sasuke did something that nobody expected. He bowed to Naruto. Please, save them. I know they will come around. They were the only people I could consider friends in Oto. They each have bloodlines that you could use as well. Please. Naruto sighed, I kinda figured that. However, it is their crimes that give me pause. Sasuke scoffed before a pleading look wormed its way onto his face. Look, we were all in hiding for the last 3 years. I only fought against the failed experiments and missing ninja that got out of hand. Jugo is actually a pacifist unless he gets out of control, and Sugetsu has been in a test tube the whole time. Karen just experimented on, well, yeah, she experimented on people. No excuses there, but they are not beyond saving. Mikoto and Itachi were looking at Sasuke bug-eyed, but it was Naruto that summed up what everyone was thinking. Damn, Sasuke, that's the most I have ever heard you say. Ever. With the typical Sasuke, the tension fell, and Naruto and Tsunade left the Uchiha alone. The two of them worked through the week on their individual projects and got ready to remove cursed seals from each of their prisoners. Seemed like losing the sound 4 made Orochimaru mark the others that weren't marked last time around. Not a particularly big issue, but it was a nuisance to deal with. Naruto had to work around the clock for the week to get things ready. It wasn't easy to tailor a seal to an individual's chakra network. Furthermore, what he didn't share with Sasuke was that the repeat use of the cursed seal practically merged his chakra network with that of the seal. If he didn't have GSM or the experience of pulling in Kokuo's and Chomai's chakra, then it really would feel impossible. His girls kept him positive, and Might Guy literally dragged him out of his study twice a day to participate in CrossFit. Guy had started to completely drop his mask around others when they were in private. Naruto was too distracted to notice this during this week, but it would make for a fun conversation later. Anyway, the blonde hero threw himself into his work, and his driving principle was that he would leave the past where it lay and do his best to save the bastard this time around. Mikoto, Shisui and the rookies were bombarding Kami with prayers for the success of Sasuke's operation. The goddess was proud of her chosen for truly moving past the past. It was much easier to say than do, after all. She viewed Naruto's actions and couldn't help the smile that graced her face. If her chosen could forgive his betrayer, then she would too. On a different note, Kami's realm had been positively glowing since Naruto's wedding. Everyone noticed but nobody said anything about it. Minato and Kushina exchanged knowing looks and Mito had dragged Kushina to a bar in Kami's realm to get the goss. Then, the normally tight-lipped Uzumaki woman let slip the information to Hashirama. Sadly, after that, rumors began spreading across Kami's realm to the point that the goddess could no longer miss it. Kami then isolated herself in her office and tried to discover what was going on and why she was feeling this way. To her own astonishment, she wasn't even denying the rumors or crushing them outright. That fact alone was more mind-blowing than the Big Bang she used to create her universe. Then, she couldn't stop the many comments that Kushina casually dropped throughout normal conversations. Man, I wonder where my Sochi's fascination with blondes came from. Minato-kun, don't our 3 daughters-in-law remind you of our boss? Kushi, I can't believe how beautiful the girls were in the dresses. They almost rivaled Kami-sama's own beauty. Kami then giggled at this thought because the red-hot-blooded habanero smacked Minato upside the head. It left Kami with a lot to think about. In her whole existence, she had never desired a partner. If she had, she simply would have created one. In her perfect memory, she had never been so fascinated with a human boy. Throughout the passage of time, she had never felt so many emotions. In all of her love for her creation, she had never let emotions penetrate her apathetic visage. In her heart, she had never craved the love of another. 8 days after the meeting in Sasuke's cell, it was go time. Itachi had everything set up and Sasuke was primed and ready on a table. Unfortunately, for the emo Uchiha, his chakra circulatory system needed to be active for the procedure. Sadly, for the king of duck butt haircuts, his cursed seal needed to be active for the procedure. Regrettably, for the Uchiha runt, this was really going to hurt. Okay, brat, take a deep breath and bite down on this. Tsunade said as she placed a mouthguard in Sasuke's mouth. HNN. Sasuke grunted through the thick plastic of the mouthguard. Naruto flickered into GSM and put 2 fingers on the cursed seal. Okay, Sasuke, I need you to activate the cursed seal. I have removed the evil sealing Fuin, so I need you to pull on that power. Sasuke closed his eyes and activated the familiar cursed seal. His skin turned dark gray as black curse markings spread around his body. His hand-like wings formed out of his back and the bluish-black X mark appeared across the bridge of his nose. The toxic chakra shocked Naruto's system and he was naturally repulsed by it. Naruto pushed through the discomfort, opened the channel to the seal and closed his eyes to speak with Kurama. Hey, Q, you sure you want to eat this crap? Kurama growled, I am not going to snack on it, Ruto. I am going to devour it. I might play with the snake a bit though. Hey, Q, could you tie him up and torture that piece of his soul for a bit? I think someone needs some closure before we snuff the snake F out of existence. Kurama raised an eyebrow before he slowly nodded his head. Very well, Naruto. I will do that for you. Remember, isolate whatever you bring in and do not let it integrate with your own chakra. Naruto nodded externally. I know, Q. Let's do this. Sasuke let out a eat-splitting scream before biting down hard on the mouthguard. His whole chakra circulatory system was aflame as Naruto's senjutsu chakra forced its way into every tenketsu. He then let out another roar as Tsunade plunged a syringe into the area of the seal that was releasing the enzyme from Jugo. Tears fell from his eyes as Tsunade pulled back on the plunger and a bloody, purplish liquid was pulled out of the seal. It hovered in the syringe and swirled about ominously. Mikoto's hands were covering her mouth and her eyes were shedding miniature waterfalls of silent tears as Itachi embraced her from behind. She wanted to be there for her son, but no mother ever wanted to see her child in such pain. Itachi grimaced at the pain scream of his little brother as the cursed markings began glowing golden as they swirled back towards the cursed seal. Shisui whistled in appreciation as he activated his Sharingan and was nearly blinded by the potent chakra. A bead of sweat began its descent from Naruto's hairline and trickled down his nose before it began its freefall onto the operating room floor. He had surrounded every bit of corrupted chakra with his own senjutsu chakra. It was like how soap surrounds an oil molecule to make it water-soluble. He applied that philosophy to his procedure, and it took immaculate concentration and chakra control to do so. Finally, the hard and most disgusting part of the procedure was about to begin. Sasuke's eyes rolled to the back of his head and his screaming ceased as his body began seizing. Tsunade stepped in and began caring for the Uchiha boy as his eyes fell to the cursed seal. A golden ball of chakra nearly the size of a baseball was bulging at the base of Sasuke's neck. Through cracks of golden light, Tsunade could see poisonous purple and black chakra. She watched as Naruto guided the chakra ball out of the cursed seal and palmed it in his hand before he clasped his other hand over it. Within minutes, the ball of chakra was gone, and Naruto had collapsed to the floor of the surgical room in the lotus position. She could feel that his concentration hadn't slipped, and she could still sense the chakra disturbance in his system. She put her hand on his shoulder in support and pushed just a trickle of her warm, motherly chakra into his system to reassure him and let him know that she was there with him. In the mindscape, the sunny sky had black clouds forming in it. In a golden cage, Orochimaru's soul began taking form and it hissed in displeasure at its capture. The golden, slitted eyes opened and took in the intimidating form of the Kyuubi no Kitsune and the Senju boy standing in front of it looking condescendingly at him. Hey there, sorry that I don't have any little boys for you in here. It won't be a long stay, but to try to survive until I can bring my special guest in. Naruto chirped. Orochimaru hissed in displeasure, what have you done? Sasuke was to be my vessel. Kurama belted out a laugh, oh, please. Your backup plan was pitiful, and we could sense you from a mile away. Tsunade crushed your old body, but she told me that the fight was too easy, even for a weak and corrupt pedophile. Naruto ignored Orochimaru's hiss and walked up to the cage before looking down at the withered piece of Orochimaru's soul. You know, Snake, your master plan wouldn't have worked anyways. The bastard is too stubborn to let you control him, no matter how many drugs you put in his system. Now, sit tight, I am going to get our special guest. A Naruto clone walked toward the Sarutobi compound and was allowed entry instantly. He walked through the quaint home and toward Hiruzen's study. He knocked on the door and heard the gentle, come in, after a couple moments. He walked in to see Hiruzen reading, Ika, make out tactics in a chair on his balcony. Ah, Naruto, my boy, what can this old man do for you? Hiruzen asked with his classic, grandfatherly smile. Naruto offered a casual wave, hey there, old man. The clone focused on his master's orders before continuing the conversation. I am here to talk and offer an olive branch. Hiruzen edged an eyebrow, talk about what? Naruto sighed and formed a wooden chair to sit down next to Hiruzen. Well, old monkey, I want to share my past with you. I want you to at least understand why I did what I did and acted the way I acted. Kami said that you should be joining her soon enough, so she gave me permission to tell you. Hiruzen coughed out a cloud of smoke and slammed a fist on his chest to recompose himself. Kami, are you serious? Naruto chuckled before nodding. Yup. Part of my meditation training at the Sage's Temple was realizing that the past needed to stay in the past. I don't have to forget it, I must learn from it, but I can no longer let it control the present. Hiruzen nodded sagely and let his pipe hang out the right corner of his mouth. A wise lesson for a young man such as yourself. Naruto chuckled sheepishly, well, I do have 32 years of experience to pull off of. Not to mention the Shinobi Alliance and 2 world wars. Hiruzen's pipe clattered to the desk and his jaw hung limply on its hinges. His wide eyes burrowed into Naruto's and the clone simply nodded with a sad smile at Hiruzen. It took minutes for the third Hokage to recompose himself and he finally said, explain. Naruto closed his eyes and pulled in the natural energy around him. He used that energy to create a link to Hiruzen's damaged chakra network and Naruto began syncing with him. Hiruzen was overwhelmed by the link before he felt Naruto grab his hand in a comforting manner and he lowered the walls he had defending his mind. The clone pulled upon its creator's memories and used the connection offered by the Senjutsu chakra to share them with the old monkey. Hiruzen couldn't believe what was happening. The images flying through his mind were moving in a blur, but every emotion connected to the memories was felt vividly. Every now and then, the memories slowed down and allowed Hiruzen to properly focus on the events. Tears fell as Hiruzen watched memories of Naruto's previous childhood. Anger and resentment at himself welled in his heart before Naruto crushed those emotions for him to allow him to focus on the memories. Hiruzen watched the many conversations in his office, and he watched his repeated abuse of the boy's trust. He felt every bit of pain, despair, anxiety and isolation that the previous child Naruto felt. He didn't know how long he was watching these memories, but he knew that they were real, and that time no longer mattered. He watched his death at Orochimaru's hands and the genuine pain that brought to Naruto. He then watched the highlights and lowlights of Naruto's fight against the Akatsuki, the death of his son at the hands of Hiruzen, the destruction of Konoha and fight against Pain, the betrayal of Danzo and the Fourth Great Shinobi War. He was inspired by Naruto's single-minded determination to protect as many of his precious people as he could. He was in awe at Naruto's ability to win over the Biju and fight against a goddess. His heart was wrenched from his chest as he processed the feelings of Naruto's betrayal by Sasuke, Konoha and the Toads. His mind almost fell to the despair of the raw emotions as Hiruzen witnessed the end of the previous timeline. The Naruto clone stopped there and broke the connection. Hiruzen's mind cleared to see an understanding smile on the clone's face. He wiped tears from his wrinkled face and clutched his fist over his heart as he was enraged by the actions of another version of himself. A gentle hand unclenched his fist and brought his attention to the brilliant azure blue eyes of Naruto. Look, old man, I wanted to help you understand. When I was a kid, everything was still so raw. Everything was still so painful, and I didn't know how to process it. When Kami brought me back, she dropped me in the middle of my first mob beating. When you lied to me in your office that morning, well, I had to protect myself. Hiruzen lunged out of his chair and embraced Naruto. No, my boy, it is I that must apologize. I can't believe it was that bad. Naruto rubbed Hiruzen's back. The sins of the previous world are not yours to bear. He whispered in a caring tone. Hiruzen began sobbing into Naruto's shoulder as he felt the forgiveness in those words. Every action, every grudge, every gripe that he had with this boy finally made sense. It all made sense, and that understanding brought peace to Hiruzen's weary soul. Thank you, he said in between sobs as he rested his head on Naruto's shoulder. You're welcome, old man. Now, there is another piece of the past that you need to lay to rest today. Hiruzen lifted his head off of Naruto's shoulder and sat back in his chair. He wiped the tears and snot from his face and looked into Naruto's eyes, asking for an explanation. Your student left a piece of himself in every cursed seal he gave out. I have isolated that piece of him, and I wanted to give you a chance to say goodbye. Hiruzen's head laid back over the top of the rocking chair. Naruto grabbed the pipe off the balcony and loaded a fresh batch of tobacco in it before handing it to Hiruzen. Hiruzen offered a weak smile and placed the pipe in between his lips and took a drag. Can we relax here for a minute? I need to process this before I tackle anything new. An hour later, Naruto walked with Hiruzen into the lower levels of the hospital. The clone waved to Tsunade, Hinata, Ino and the Uchiha family before going to its original and phasing into him. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow at an exhausted-looking Naruto. Sorry, old man, I had a lot to do today. Everything you talked about and felt with my clone was real. Naruto said wearily, which prompted Tsunade to put a caring hand on his shoulder. He turned to her, I will be fine, mama. Just need to relax for a minute. The seal is getting unpleasant with all that corrupted chakra in there. Hiruzen demanded an explanation from Itachi and Tsunade. It was Itachi that spoke. Naruto has removed the cursed seals from Sasuke, Gurren and Karen. It is an exhausting process and he had to take in all the corrupted natural energy to make sure Orochimaru didn't get away. Hiruzen's head snapped to Naruto, why do it all at once, my boy? Naruto shrugged, just wanted to get this over with. Give me a bit to purify the chakra, then I will bring you into the seal. Hiruzen nodded and went to a comfortable waiting room with the group. He once again marveled at the feeling of Naruto's senjutsu chakra as he watched the boy sit motionless with his eyes closed. He watched on intrigued as the Kyuubi's cloak flared to life and he saw a flicker of purple that crackled along the golden cloak before it was extinguished. Naruto's golden, slitted eyes opened and met Hiruzen's. All right, old man, I am ready for you. Naruto said, holding out his hand. Hiruzen sank into a lotus position next to Naruto and let the boy take his hand. Naruto guided his hand to the seal, and he was encompassed in the warm and powerful chakra of Kurama before his world went black. He reopened his eyes to see an expansive plain with a giant lake, a forest of giant redwood trees and one great tree that stood apart from the rest. He also saw the Kyubi no Kitsune standing guard over a golden cage that was near a log cabin. He followed Naruto over to the cage and sat in a chair that the boy materialized for him. Kakuku, if it isn't sensei. Orochimaru's slippery voice slithered across the mindscape like a snake in the grass. Naruto clicked his fingers and a pipe materialized in Hiruzen's hand. The old man gave a look of grawed toward Naruto before he reclined in the chair and addressed Orochimaru. Hello, my old student. A comfortable silence fell between the two as Hiruzen puffed his pipe and Naruto went to join Kurama by the lake in the mindscape. The Biju and his partner took a much-needed nap in the warm sun of mindscape, leaving the two in privacy. Why am I here, sensei? Orochimaru broke the comfortable silence with a gruff tone. Hiruzen enjoying the puff of smoke and appreciated the flavor of the imaginary tobacco. Naruto wanted to give us a chance to settle things before we go to the other world. Rest assured, my student, that I will not be far behind you. Orochimaru hissed in displeasure, it is that boy's fault. I had my immortality perfected, and I would have had the Sharingan if it weren't for him. Hiruzen chuckled and sucked on his pipe. Orochi, you were always so ambitious. It was my fault for not curbing your darker ambitions. For that, I am sorry. I don't need your apologies, Hiruzen. Orochimaru hissed. Maybe not, but I offer them willingly. I often thought about how I would make things right. How I would fight you, die alongside you and go to the afterlife with you to atone for my past mistakes. Do not waste this last chance at finding peace, my student. We are both destined for the pure world. We will both stand before our Maker and account for our actions. What nonsense are you spouting? There is nothing after this life except the void. I have raised many souls and they never remember what has happened after death. Orochimaru finished in a sneering tone of condescension. Hiruzen chuckled and shrugged. He. Well, if you want to know what the pure world is like, you should have asked Naruto. Orochimaru edged his head to the side in confusion like a snake. What do you mean? Hiruzen's eyes hardened, and he met Orochimaru's gaze. He just shared the memories with me today. In his previous life, the timeline ended. My inaction, your corruption and many other factors led to the end of the whole world. Not just the shinobi world, Orochimaru, the whole world. Lies. Orochimaru shouted, before his head turned to a giant big screen that showed the war, Naruto's death and his interaction with Kami. Orochimaru's mind went blank, and he remained in a state of stunned disbelief for many minutes as he watched the collage of memories. Hiruzen watched on in a state of sad and stunned reverie. You see, Orochi, we will all stand to account in the end. Sadly, I think that we will be given to Yami and the Shinigami for our sins. Orochimaru's pitiful resistance fell, and the snake's rage subsided and gave way to fear. I am not ready to die. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Hiruzen chuckled and blew out a couple rings of smoke. No, my student, this is exactly how it is supposed to be. Humans are not intended for the divine. Humans were not meant to live forever. Your ambition clouds your reason, and your denial makes you oblivious to reality. It is fine to fear death, my boy. That is why I am here. To let you know that it is okay to die. I will join you on the other side shortly. What are you babbling about, sensei? Orochimaru hissed. Hiruzen rose from his chair and bent over at the waist in apology. I am sorry, Orochimaru. I am sorry for failing to guide you down the right path. I am sorry for not saving you from your dark path. I am sorry for making you feel alone. Orochimaru recoiled from the genuine apology as if it were poison. His original impulse was to put down the old and pathetic man in front of him. However, maybe it was the influence of Naruto, but this finally broke through Orochimaru. The snake's condescending look finally fell from his face as if his snake soul shed its skin. Why, sensei, why does my forgiveness mean so much to you? Hiruzen rose from his bow and locked a gentle gaze on Orochimaru's own. I never forgave myself for failing you. You were the start of my fall, and I was never able to move past it. You were a son to me, and I failed you. That is why. Then why did you throw me to Danzo like some piece of trash? Why did you choose Minato over me? Why? Orochimaru shouted desperately. Tears began trickling down Hiruzen's face. Because I was scared of my own failure. I saw you going down the wrong path and knew I wasn't strong enough to save you. Putting you under Danzo was one of my greatest regrets. After that, Minato was the only choice. Your will of fire was corrupted because I failed you, Orochi. Blame me. Orochimaru's soul screamed out in pain and frustration at the meek man in front of him. Stop. You are ruining the image of the sensei that I respect. This pitiful old fool you have become is pathetic. If you want my forgiveness, take it. I forgive you. My actions were my own. Hiruzen offered a weak smile to Orochimaru. Thank you. Calm before the storm. 2 months after Suna attack. Naruto was walking down Main Street in Konoha with the rookies after an extended morning training session. They were all upbeat and chatting animatedly. Evidently, Kiba got himself a girlfriend by bragging about being part of Task Force Anaconda. With his swollen pride, he was walking with his chest out and nose held up high in the air. I'm tellin' ya, Naruto, she is a beauty. Finally, things are turning around for this alpha. Kiba boasted. Naruto restrained the many snappy retorts that wanted to spill out of his mouth and settled with, yeah, I heard. Congrats, Kiba. So, what's her name? Anna. She is a civilian girl that just graduated from her apprenticeship. That's cool. What is she apprenticing in? Samui asked while latching onto one of Naruto's arms. Kiba struggled to keep his eyes up when talking to the busty beauty. She. Kiba snapped his mouth closed and looked at head level. She is a tailor now. She is going to reply to send you comfort wares. Naruto beamed a smile. Tell her to drop my name. I will get her in there. Thanks, Ruto. Kiba beamed and Akamaru backed him up with a bark. Ino ran ahead of the three while flying Arasha around, which made Samui smile and lean into Naruto. Then Temari flew Hashi by them in a chase for Arasha while making plain noises. The cute scene drew the attention of the villagers and brought smiles to everyone. Naruto noticed a wistful smile cross Hinata's face, and further back Sakura was also watching the adorable scene. The group was passing one of the cafes that was a local hangout spot, and many red books were seen in the hands of men and women. I am a lucky man. Naruto sighed out contentedly. Samui chuckled and got up on her toes to place a kiss on his cheek. Yes, you are my love. I can't believe your second book got published this widely already. Naruto scratched the back of his neck sheepishly. Well, yeah. Jiraiya's publisher was so excited that he rushed the publication and paid for the teleporters. They are all sold out. Sakura ran up and made Naruto stop with a fierce look on her face. You are the author of Second Chance. Naruto nodded, which was a mistake due to every woman in the cafe now paying attention to him. Sakura squealed before taking his hands in hers. Could you please get me a copy of Purifying Light? Naruto noticed the attention now and he looked sheepish. What is the point of using a pseudonym if he just announces he is the author? He pulled Sakura in close, which made her blush furiously. Sakura, I really need you to be quiet. I use a pseudonym for a reason, and I can sense 97 women now paying rapt attention to our conversation. Please, be quiet and I will get you a signed copy when we are in private. Sakura nodded into his shoulder and slowly backed away before speaking loudly. Ah man, I thought you would be the author. Oh well. Naruto aired an eyebrow and Samui giggled at the terrible acting. The group continued their jaunt to Ichiraku's restaurant and the conversation continued to flow. So, Sakura, have you and Kiba been in to see Sasuke yet? Sakura and Kiba looked down at the ground. They aren't letting us in yet. They say he is still going through extensive counseling, and he is on bed rest. I mean, we have tried, but yeah. He is locked down tight. Kiba added. Whimper, bark. Akamaru added, which earned a scratch behind the ears from Naruto. Happy moan, bark, bark, bark. Naruto laughed. Yeah, bud, I will come over later and see if Ranga or some of the other wolves want to play. Kiba smiled at this. Yeah, my mom is super happy with the training harnesses. Hana is now the training supervisor for the pups, and she can set and adjust the weights. Did she talk to you about the mating proposal? Samui looked with icy interest at Naruto. Care to explain, dear? You are not pimping yourself out again, are you? Naruto waved his hands in front of him as the commotion brought Ino and Temari back to the group with his boys. No. They want to try breeding one of their ninken with a tempest wolf. Kiba, I will talk to your mom later. I have been talking to Rimuru about naming a Tempest Wolf of my own, but you know how pack mentality is. Kiba nodded in understanding. Yeah, man, I do. They would have a family here though. As the group sat down in a booth at Ichiraku's, Naruto unsealed a copy of his second book, signed it and handed it to Sakura, which earned him a squeal of excitement. Sakura also launched at him and embraced him in a big hug, which earned smirks from Ino, Temari and Samui. They weren't threatened by Sakura because they knew how Naruto felt and, come one, she was totally flat compared to each of them. After food was ordered and the babies were placed in their high chairs, Ino started the gossip session. So, Ruto, spill it. Have Mama and Q started trying yet? Naruto avoided the question and sipped on some water. How am I supposed to know? Temari had an eyebrow at him. So, you wouldn't know anything about the fox mark on her left B? Naruto shrugged. Dunno. Samui chuckled. Such a poor liar. How are you a shinobi again? I just kick ass and take names. Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. Shino chimed in. Well, Ruto, I think they make a good mating pair. Naruto was grateful for the opportunity to divert attention. Oh, speaking of mating pairs, why has Chome gone silent about your relationship? Shino pushed his glasses up and shrunk into his collar. I do not wish to continue this discussion in a public setting. Ten looked around. Where is Cho anyways? She normally trains with us. She is with Mama today. Samui informed the group. Ino, never one to be taken off the trial of hot gossip, turned to Shino. So, it has gotten serious, huh? Shino blushed and turtled down into his jacket even further. It is going well. Ino squealed like a fangirl and Temari stepped in. Don't let her status hold you back. I know you Aberame suppress your emotions, but listen to that buzzing in your heart and you can't go wrong. Status? Neji asked. Don't worry about it. So, Neji, what has Hiashi decided in reference to our new project? Naruto asked. Neji smiled gracefully. He is going to approve. He said that when you go, then I will be free to go with you. That's awesome. Naruto cheered. I really could use your help getting things set up. Chuji downed a plate of sushi and asked, getting what set up, Ruto? Well, you know how I will become the daimyo of the land of whirlpools and wave when I turn 21. Chuji and the group nodded. Well, I am recruiting clans that want to spread branch families to my lands. It sounds like Neji will lead the new branch in Azu and that will be a massive help. Ten grabbed Neji's hand and shot him a concerned look. And when were you going to tell me about this? Neji sighed. Well, if we get married then I would inform you. Plus, Lord Hiashi recently approved of the new branch. It is hard since Hinata is also forming a branch in Suna. Every head in the booth turned to Hinata. The Hyuga girl blushed and sank into the booth. Gaara and I will be getting married after the Akatsuki and Iwa are dealt with. Father approved me heading a branch family there. While the girls squealed and gossiped, the guys ate their meals. Everything went well and the group divided up and returned to their individual duties for the evening. Life in Konoha was good and things had stabilized. It also helped that he was able to flash around and play delivery boy for the Cajun daimyo. They all had tablets and they were each able to communicate instantly with one another, which made things in the Four-Nation Alliance flourish quickly. Will you please be an actor in your own play? As life continued at its frantic pace, Naruto and the Senju clan were feeling the weight of their many duties. Naruto's clone armies were summoned each day and set about managing the orphanage, supervising his clothing business, managing the sealing business and answering calls from a variety of his influential customers. That was why he was surprised when Itachi popped up on his tablet and asked him to report to the Hokage's office. As Naruto entered the office, he saw two familiar faces and he couldn't stop a smile from gracing his face. He bowed respectfully to Itachi and reported in. Thanks for coming, Naruto. This is Yuki Fujikaze and her producer Sandayu. They have come to make a request of you and may wish to recruit you for a long-term mission. Itachi spoke in his monotone. Naruto turned to the two and bowed formally. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Naruto Senju Uzumaki. How may I be of service? Yuki spoke up in an animated fashion that contrasted pretty sharply with what Naruto remembered last time around. Are you new Kitsune? Naruto looked to Itachi and sighed. Yes, I would ask you to keep my pseudonym a secret, please. I have enough attention already. Sandayu waved off his concerns. Of course, my boy. I contacted your publishing house, and they provided me your name. Shall we get down to business then? Naruto and Itachi nodded. Well, my boy, we would like permission to turn your book into a movie. The Princess Yuki storyline is now complete, and we have been looking for a new movie. And it was this or that degrading smut called Ika Ika. Kyuki snarled at the thought of making a movie out of the perverted novels. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Well, I am honored. I understand why you wouldn't want to act out my grandfather's books. So, you just want permission to use my novels. Couldn't we have worked that contract out through the publishing house? He wanted them to say what they really wanted already. Sandayu chuckled nervously. Well, my boy, we would also like to hire protection during the shoot. Plus, if our protection were one of our actors, then it would kill two birds with one stone. Naruto ed an eyebrow. One of your actors. I don't act. Yuki stepped forward and offered a mix of a pouty face and the puppy dog eyes no jutsu. Please, Naruto. I really want to act alongside you. Why me? He replied neutrally. Yuki began playing with her hair and swirling it around her finger. Because you are beautiful. You are like literally the most desired man in the elemental nations. Not to mention, you wrote the novel, so it is only fitting that you star in the production. Naruto pondered the idea. He wanted to take this mission and save Snow Country. He had honestly been waiting for it, but it was still a high-risk mission. It nearly went FUBA last time around. Well, Princess, there are some pretty steamy scenes in my writing. What are your plans for those? Sandayu answered for the furiously blushing actress. We planned on including them. The way you wrote them was so emotional and gripping. We only hope to have some of that essence in the scenes. Naruto sighed. And where will we do the shoot? Snow Country Mountains. Sandayu answered. Itachi got involved here. Why Snow Country? They aren't exactly allied to us. Rumors say that Dodo, the reigning sovereign, is working alongside Akatsuki. Neither Itachi nor Naruto missed the flinch and chakra fluctuation of the two in front of them. The scenery matches the start of the novel. Sandayu answered in an unconvincing fashion. Even Yuki looked like she didn't want to go back there. Very well, I accept. I will try to act, but I don't promise much. Plus, you will need to come to my compound and request permission from my wives. Naruto said with a look to Itachi that he will talk to him once they are in private. Wives? Yuki asked. As in plural. Naruto nodded. Yes, I have 3 wives. Went through hell to get them and I plan to keep them. Very well, we accept your generous invitation. What time should we arrive for dinner? Sandayu cut in. 5 p.m. Just push the seal on the right side of the gate and someone will come out to greet you. Naruto answered. After the film producer and actress left, Naruto turned to Itachi and opened himself to questions. What do you know, Naruto? Itachi asked seriously. Naruto offered a sincere smile. I want to do this. Dodo is bad news, and if he gives Snow Country's technology to Akatsuki, then it could complicate things. Plus, Yuki Fujika's is the missing snow princess, Kyuki Kazuhana. Itachi smirked. So, you just agreed to do scenes with an actual princess? Naruto shrugged. I did no such thing. I said she had to ask my wives. Itachi let out a small chuckle. Very well. What about the mission? What are you planning? Infiltrate, incapacitate and kill Dodo. Shouldn't be too hard. Itachi sighed. Only you could say chakra armor is no big deal. Naruto waved him off. Nah, everyone in my study group would be just fine. The chakra armor is no big deal. It is a crutch that they rely on. Who do you want to take with you? Itachi asked. Speed and power. Can I take Team Guy along with my girls? I know that they will want to come along since the movie is going to be filmed. Itachi chuckled dryly. You want to topple a dictator with 8 people? Yeah, you're right. That is kinda overkill. I guess I only need my girls. Naruto shot back with some added snark. Itachi waved him out of the office. Take Team Guy and your girls. Add Shizuka. I want you to evaluate her combat potential. Naruto bowed. Yes, sensei. Senju compound, dinner with a princess. Sandayu and Kyuki pushed the seal on the right-hand side of the Senju gate. Moments later, a brunette version of Naruto opened the gate and greeted them. Yuki blushed at the guard uniform and dual blades that the man carried. Good evening, Yuki Fujikaze and Sandayu Asama. Welcome to the Senju compound. I am Naruto's brother, Yami Senju. Yami bowed formally and welcomed them into the compound. As they were walking, Yuki asked, "Are you Naruto's twin?" Yami chuckled, "No, there were extenuating circumstances with my brother and I." Yuki decided to drop it and changed the topic. "So, how did your brother get 3 wives?" Yami shrugged, "He has a problem saying no to hot, blonde bombshells." Yuki blushed and looked down while playing with her hair. Sandayu chuckled and whistled in appreciation at the beautiful compound. "Do you know how long Naruto has been writing the Second Chance series?" Yami chuckled, "Since he was young. He had the first book finished when he was still a kid, but he was too shy to have it published." Yuki pouted a bit, "I still haven't been able to read the second book. The publishing house said they would ship it to me." Yami offered her his copy of the book. "Here you go. Forgive me, I am an underliner." Yuki snatched the book like a precious object and clutched it to her chest. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." While Yami was waving her off, they entered the dining hall that the family rarely used when they were hosting important guests. Yami guided the guests to their seats, and they sat down in the rowdy mixture of the Senju family. Kurama and Tsunade, Hikari and Shikamaru, Yami and Tayuya, Chome and Shino, and then Naruto and his girls. Yuki looked around the table, completely overwhelmed by the couples and the casual attitudes. Naruto stood up and clinked a glass. "Everyone, please extend a warm welcome to our guests, Yuki Fujikaze and Sandayu Asama." A bunch of waves and hellos echoed across the moderately sized dining hall. Yuki bowed, "Thank you for hosting us." Temari, Ino and Samui exchanged looks before Ino stepped up. "Oh, please, thank you for coming. We are all fans of your Princess Yuki movies. I was sad to hear that they were discontinued." Sandayu groaned, "Yes, the author died unexpectedly. It was unfortunate, but that is why we are so excited for Naruto's books. They are absolutely gripping and heart-wrenching." Temari took the hint. "So, you wish to turn Naruto's book into a film? You okay with that, princess?" Yuki blushed, "Yes, well, I have never done a steamy scene, but every woman in the world wants to be loved like what was written in those pages." Ino wiped away a small nosebleed. "You ready to do that on camera?" Yuki blushed cherry red and waved her hands in front of her. "No, no, no. Actresses have ways of doing it that make it look real, but there is no actual S." Samui chuckled and her icy blue eyes danced in delight. "Oh, we know that, sweetie. But you still need to get N on camera, right?" Sandayu coughed uncomfortably as Yuki nearly fainted from her atomic blush. "Yes, well, that is why we are requesting Naruto as the actor. Yuki is taken with his writing, and I sense he would do very well on screen." All heads turned to Naruto, who held his hands up defensively. "Look, I told them that they needed to get your approval first. I don't know why they want me, but they do. So, what do you say, girls?" The sister wives all huddled up and left room for Tsunade to join in. "You think she just wants a piece of Ruto?" Ino asked. Temari looked over Ino's shoulder and nodded, "No doubt, but I know we can trust Ruto. So, is it cool to let our man kiss another woman?" Samui asked. Ino shrugged, "Doesn't bother me that much. We could go with and watch the whole movie get shot. If we do that, then we can put our foot down if things get too steamy." Temari added with a pensive look. Tsunade chuckled, "It is Ruto and a love scene. It is going to get steamy, even if he tones it down." Ino sighed, "No helping that. Just think, girls, if we let him do this, we can give his shit for the rest of his life. And we can make him dedicate a clone to finish the 3rd book." Samui added. After a collective nod, they rose out of the blonde huddle and Temari addressed Yuki. "Very well, we approve. We will be able to press the stop button and have a say on any of the intimate scenes." Yuki blushed cherry red and Sandayu nodded. "Very well. We will pay for your protection and allow you to supervise production." Naruto beamed a smile that lit up the room. "Awesome, well, sounds like we got a deal. I will let you discuss payment for film rights with the publishing house. I will also let them negotiate my actor's pay. For the mission, we will charge you a B rank protection mission for the duration of the filming." Tsunade remembered the snow mission from Naruto's stories, so she decided to feel it out. So, where will you go to first for the filming? Sandayu coughed and cleared his throat. Snow country. The environment would be artistically fitting for the opening of the film and book. Tsunade exchanged a knowing look and nod with Naruto. Well, safe travels. I look forward to seeing the finished product. Ride to Snow Country. Naruto, Samui, Temari, Ino and Team Guy showed up at the gate to see Sandayu and the film crew. Naruto looked around, as did the girls, and they didn't see Yuki anywhere. They closed the distance with Sandayu and saw that the producer was wearing an exasperated look on his face. Where is Yuki at? Naruto asked as mission leader. Sandayu sighed. She made me find a hairdresser that would change her hair. She said she wanted to get into her new role as Akari. Ino aired an eyebrow and got into her sassy pose. Who did she go to? What does she need to do to get in that role? Sandayu shrugged. I don't know. We're about to find out. Naruto said as he turned around and looked down the main street after feeling her chakra signature. At least he didn't have to go and hunt her down this time around. Or, shit, Naruto said under his breath. Temari giggled and it seemed to be contagious because Ino and Samui joined moments later. It all connected at once for them and the thought was just too funny. Temari leaned into Naruto. Looks like she wanted to be your type, Ruto. As Naruto groaned, Samui leaned over Ino's shoulder and whispered, where is the off button? Can we shut him down? Tima 10 looked on confused and Shizuka was standing there with a questioning look on her face and her hand on her hips. Ino joined in the ribbing. Well, ladies, what do we think about adding a famous actress to the bunch? As the girls giggled, Naruto groaned louder. She is just getting into the role. I wrote Akari as a blonde because I loved all of you. Temari patted Naruto's shoulder in a patronizing way. Sure, we believe you, Ruto. Yuki walked up to the group and aired her head to the side, not understanding the current situation. When Naruto looked up and offered a weak smile, she blushed and played with strands of her newly platinum blonde hair. So, Naruto, what do you think? Naruto's smile grew and he replied, well, it suits you pretty well, Akari. Yuki's blush deepened and she looked like a sheepish schoolgirl and her eye dropped to the ground and she fidgeted shyly. Thank you. Alright, let's move out. We need to get to port by tonight and the ship leaves port tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Sandayu announced to the group. The ship ride to Snow Country was eventful and Naruto spent much more time working with Yuki than last time around. She gave him pointers on his acting, rehearsed lines and Naruto worked to adapt the book to the screen in the best way he knew how. While he was doing this, he was trying to remember the mission and he wanted to base some of the scenes around the battles he knew were coming. That prompted him to pull Sandayu and Yuki into a room with him and Guy. Sandayu, is there anything you feel like sharing with us and the princess here? Naruto said in a much firmer tone than he had used with them before. Even Guy straightened his spine when he realized Naruto was in serious mode. Sandayu fidgeted. What are you talking about, Lord Senju? Naruto sighed. Well, let's start with Princess Kyuki Kazuhana. Then, you can tell me what you have planned while we are in Snow Country. Finally, I will shatter your plans and lay out a new plan once we have up-to-date intel. Yuki, or Kyuki now, looked scandalized at Sandayu. You promised this trip wouldn't be about that. Naruto put a comforting hand on her shoulder and took all of the anger out of her. Kyuki, I know why you are scared. I don't expect you to embrace this right away. Just know that I will be deposing Doto. If you feel like leading your people to a better future, I will help you with that. Sandayu sighed. Lord Senju, we have organized a rebellion. I have 200 samurai that were loyal to Kyuki's father. We were going to plan a counter-ambush while traveling through the country. Naruto held up a hand. Stop, that was an idiotic plan. Why would you use your most valuable piece as bait? Second, do you know your enemy? Do you even know your own forces? I know you were once a samurai general, but this plan was just sloppy. Sandayu's head fell to his chest. I have no choice, the people of Snow are slowly dying. Doto has raised taxes on people that live in a barren land to raise an army. He has trains, a blimp, kunai launchers and about 50 shinobi and 400 samurai. He lives in a fortress that is unassailable. We need to draw him out. Naruto actually laughed at that. Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea what I can do? Guy put a hand on Naruto's shoulder to back him up. I am not a fan of overly destructive jutsu, but there is nothing Naruto can't do. Sandayu looked skeptically at Naruto and Kyuki was still lost in her own thoughts. We are talking about a fortress here. Not. I one-punched a friggin' mountain, man. Just relax. The only thing I need to know is if you want to keep the fort or not. Naruto shot a deadpan look at Sandayu and cut him off with a look of agitation on his face. Honestly, I hope you say no because we could get some amazing footage for a final battle scene if I destroy the base. A red, slitted eye cracked open within the mindscape and a wood clone of Kurama formed out of Naruto's back, which shocked Kyuki and Sandayu. Ruto, we need to destroy it. I totally want to see that, and it can be a good close to your first book. We would just have to shoot the rescue scene separately and then the princess there will stand by your side as you drop the base into the gorge. Sandayu was overwhelmed. Who are you and how did you know that the base was on the side of a gorge? Naruto chuckled sheepishly. Well, this here is Kurama, you met him last night. He is actually the Kyubi no Kitsune and a wood clone of mine. As for your second question, let's just say we have a good intelligence network. Sandayu nodded dumbly, but Kyuki didn't know what the Kyubi was. Wait, aren't you Lady Senju's boyfriend? Kurama nodded proudly and smirked at Kyuki, and weren't you a brunette last time I saw you? This comment made Kyuki glance at Naruto, blush and avert her eyes when they met the startling azure blues that were dancing with amusement. Naruto laughed. All right. Look, Yuki, this is my mama's boyfriend, and he is the most powerful chakra ni ever that is sealed in me. It is confusing, but just know that with him and I around you will be fine. And Q, she is getting into her role as Akari. Kurama's smirk turned devilish. Oh, silly me, I thought she was trying to seduce you. Kyuki's blush turned atomic, and Naruto chuckled and slugged Q in the shoulder. Sandayu coughed and brought everyone back to the serious topic while Guy was just watching the scene with an amused smile. Naruto, are you saying you knew what was going to happen when I requested this mission and you only need your team to take Doto and his forces head on? Naruto shrugged. Guy, do you want a good fight? I will put you and your team into the movie if you put on a good show. Guy punched a fist into the air. It would be the fieriest and most youthful endeavor of my life to join you in your first movie, young Senju. Oi, Ruto, I know you are going to let me in on the action, right? Kurama pleaded. Naruto aired an eyebrow and looked at Kyuki. Who do you want in the movie? You can pick from my squad. I will film all of the fights, so you get to pick who you think would look best on camera. I claim Doto though. Sandayu coughed once more. Why are you talking like this is a game? Like this will be some fun jaunt through snow country. Naruto sighed before firming his gaze and flashing into GKSM, Golden Kurama Sage Mode. Look, Sandayu, I could do this on my own. I don't believe that is best for the princess, my team or the world. If anything gets out of hand, I will step in. So, until you see me in this mode again, just relax, please. I simply thought we could get some good, authentic fights and somehow find a way to incorporate them into the movie. Sandayu nodded at the overwhelming display of power. His jaw then fell when Naruto placed his hand on Kurama and transferred a good portion of the power into Kurama. Kurama flexed his arms and hands and grinned devilishly once more. Thank you, Kami, I love this guy. Kyuki just looked on in amazement and she couldn't stop the fluttering in her heart or the soaking of her panties. That was amazing. Up in Kami's realm, Kami was scowling at the television and Minato flashed in front of the big screen television and caught the volley of golden kunai that Kami had flung at the new television. Kushina was laughing so hard that she let her head slam unceremoniously onto the desk. Minato sighed and addressed his goddess and boss. Lady Kami, we just got this TV. Please don't destroy it yet. Kami scoffed and clicked her fingers, which blew the TV up, which abruptly tossed Minato onto the floor. She snapped her fingers again and a new TV was in its place. She aired a defiant eyebrow at Minato. Minato, how did you devote yourself to one woman when your son literally makes every woman that I allow to interact with him fall in love? Kushina raised her head from the desk, still laughing. Kami, it is your own fault. Plus, he isn't going to give in to the princess. He didn't last time around either. Kami scowled. No, but he is going through a loophole. I can't punish him when he is just acting. Minato couldn't stop the mischievous smile that found its way onto his face. Is somebody jealous? Kami flicked her hand and Minato flew through 6 walls and out of Kami's castle. Kushina raised an eyebrow at Kami. My lady, if you feel that strongly about it, then why don't you just tell him? Kami, yes, the goddess of this universe, blushed and refused to meet Kushina's eyes. I can't. I am a goddess and Naruto is a mortal child. I am bound by the rules I created. Kushina sighed. Well, that's just your own stubbornness getting in the way of what you want. As Naruto would say, rules are meant to be broken. Kami's blush intensified and she remained silent with a pensive look on her face. Back on the ship, 2 days had passed in a somewhat pleasant journey. Ruto literally rocked the boat each night with his girls. Turns out privacy seals couldn't stop the over-enthusiastic attention that he gave to his wives. The guests initially thought they were going through stormy seas, but after each of them couldn't sleep, they went to the deck to catch some fresh air. Then, each morning the 3 glowing blondes made it harder and harder for Kyuki to deal with the burgeoning crush that was developing for Naruto. The girls watched on amused as Kyuki's flirting turned from shy and tentative to obvious and klutzy in less than 2 days. Of course, the girls knew Naruto would never abuse their trust and they were honestly used to the women of the world falling for their man. They made a game of it and engaged in their own side commentary. They liked Kyuki well enough, and she was a good woman, so there were no hard feelings. Plus, it was really funny watching Naruto get into his role as Naru. Yes, he named the main character of his books after himself. He figured it fit since he crafted his books as a romanticized version of his previous life. His first book actually started with his mission to Wave Country and ends in Snow Country, which may have been why Kyuki was so enamored by it. Of course, he adjusted the names and abilities and altered some key events and some timelines to make it more compelling. He used his initial meeting with Haku as inspiration for Naru to fall in love with Akari, Kyuki's character. After a memorable first meeting, the two separate and meet up later in life when Naru and Hikaru gets dragged into a mission to protect her. The first book ends with Doto's death and the salvation of Akari's country. On the boat, they shot the scenes where the hero was preparing to go with his trusty sidekicks to take down the Dark Tyrant. These scenes included a bunch of angst and ended with the parting, good luck kiss of Akari and the hero. Thus, Ino, Temari and Samui watched on in amusement with a tinge of jealousy as Kyuki's knees went weak after the first passionate kiss. The director actually called for a redo because Kyuki was in no shape for the end of that scene. The girls giggled and placed bets on how many takes it would take to get this scene done. Finally, after 6 retakes of the kissing scene, Naruto called it a day and prepared for the fight that he was expecting. He remembered that 4 people ended up fighting Team 7 midway through the journey last time around. That night, he called his team in to discuss expectations for the mission with a bit of a dramatic twist. Alright guys, I know that it is criminal to underestimate your enemies, so I am going to fill you in with what I know. First, there will be a couple shinobi in chakra armor. This armor absorbs ninjutsu, a higher rank would be needed to get through it. That being said, my network told me that each of the chakra armors has a power core that would be considered its weak spot. Plus, the power core can be overwhelmed if it absorbs too much chakra. That being said, they can use that chakra to strengthen their own jutsus, so be careful. Lee was raising his hand animatedly, so Naruto nodded to him. Does it counter taijutsu? Haha, no, Lee, not completely. It gives them an enhanced defense, but nothing you can't break through with a couple good shots. Anyone else? Shizuka nodded. How many of these chakra armors should we expect to face? Naruto shrugged. They are expensive and rare according to intel. 5 to 10 would be my guess. Neji followed this up. Any other known weaknesses? The joints and head. The armor is not supposed to cover the head, but we will have to put that to the test. Okay, moving on, they have some technology that you haven't seen. First, they have a train which is basically a big, clunky transport carriage made of metal that moves along tracks. Second, they have a weaponized blimp which can fly through the sky, so keep eyes up. Finally, and probably most deadly, are the kunai launchers. The launchers can launch volleys of hundreds of kunai in seconds. They have these around their bases and on the train. Best way to deal with them. Ino asked. Earth walls, water walls are a powerful wind jutsu. I am sure everyone here can handle it, but I was honestly more concerned about the samurai. Naruto answered. Why are the samurai even getting involved? Neji asked, not understanding why lesser combatants would muddle the battlefield. Naruto nodded in understanding before he turned serious. Okay, this is where I start to get silly. I have so much faith in each of you that I plan to use our fights to get footage for the film. Before you freak out, it also is because we can't just fight Snow Country's fight for them. The samurai are an honorable bunch, and it would be offensive to them if we simply did this for them. Guy and Lee nodded in understanding, but Neji and Shizuka scoffed. Temari spoke up, I have faith in Naruto, and we all know that if he takes it seriously, he can keep everyone safe. Naruto chuckled nervously before the next part, okay, so this is where it may get weird. In my book, instead of chakra the characters use magic. Not that much of a difference, but if you can refrain from saying your jutsu's names out loud, that would be appreciated. Also, in any fight you take, I will have a wood clone filming you and you will have some lines and prompts I would like in the film. So, don't end it too quickly and don't be scared to get a bit flashy with it. We want to put on a good show. Shizuka looked incredulous. Do you believe we are that much stronger than the enemy shinobi? You are asking us to risk our lives for entertainment. Samui chuckled, Shizuka, you have joined in our workouts for the last couple months. You should know the capabilities of this team. Intel reports that they have 2, possibly 3, low to mid, rank shinobi leading them. That means that everyone here can easily win a one-on-one. If you are not confident, just tag team with Lee. That was what Naruto had planned anyways. Lee punched the air and then clapped excitedly, oh, how youthful. I get to fight alongside Shizuka. Naruto put a calming hand on Lee's shoulder. Lee, you play one of Naruto's companions and Shizuka is the slave that you rescued from the Dark General's forces. I did not have any lines about the flames of youth. Your character is excitable, but I would ask that you temper your enthusiasm during the fight scenes, at least verbally. Neji nodded, but he saw a flaw. Okay, Naruto, how will you divide the fights up? Naruto smirked, my Sage mode will give me plenty of warning and I will divide you up. My clones will each have cameras and tag along. I will be with Kyuki, and my girls are on crew protection. Ino pouted, when do we get our screen time? Naruto chuckled, you 3 will play Kyuki's loyal maids. Before and after the rescue scene as well as the later part of the movie. You will each have a couple lines, my love. Guy stepped forward and puffed out his chest, Naruto, my most youthful rival, when does the green beast get to fight? You will be leading first contact and you will fight against their leader. Guy, I will need you to get into a costume, of sorts, when I sense the enemies. You will play the hero's sensei. Unfortunately, the sensei dies in the conclusion of the first battle. Naruto held up a hand, don't worry about throwing a fight. I will use transformed shadow clones to help shoot any scene like that. Guy held out a big thumbs up, thank you for giving me such a youthful role. Any other questions? Naruto asked, ready to wrap this meeting up and get back to writing. Tenten spoke this time, are they all ice jutsu users? To the best of our knowledge, that is their main affinity. However, unlike the Yuki clan, they can only manipulate the ice and snow around them. Unfortunately, in Snow Country, that is pretty much everywhere. When will the samurai get involved? Temari asked. They will travel with us in the caravan. If nothing happens before we reach the fort, then I will let them form the front line before I bring down the fort. Are you going to kill everyone in the fort? Ino asked with trepidation and everyone else shifted uncomfortably. I will give them a chance to surrender, and I will make sure to give them some time. Unfortunately, that means there will probably be a fight in front of the fort. I will try to destroy it slowly, but I would expect a high number of casualties. Naruto said, torn between feeling guilty for the lives he will take and wanting to avoid casualties on his side. Battle on the iceberg. The meeting closed shortly after that, and the next day Naruto was meditating in Sage mode and felt first contact coming. It was frustrating timing because he was beginning to feel something different in the ocean's energy. Once again, he felt the shinobi stationed on an iceberg that was about 5 miles off the coast of Snow Country. Naruto rallied the shinobi, got them into their costumes for the movie and secured the camera harnesses to his clones. He couldn't wait to see their incredulous faces when a camera crew was literally spectating their fight. Naruto worked with Sandayu and the direct, Claude, who was some foreign film director, to coordinate with the ship's captain. The mid-sized ship pulled up at the edge of the iceberg and the shinobi went to put on the performance. Naruto felt 4 distinct chakra signatures and he knew that these would be the ones in chakra armor. He put Guy in charge of Lee, Shizuka, Neji and Tenten before he engaged a chameleon jutsu over his 4 wood clones that were carrying cameras. Guy led his squad over the tip of the iceberg in the direction that Naruto had directed. The iceberg was massive and was easily 2 kilometers wide and 1 kilometer long. It also centered around an icy peak and Guy was directed to climb to the top of the peak. Naruto Clone 1 swung around the back of the enemy shinobi with his camera and got into a good position for a upward film angle. Guy beat the enemy shinobi to the peak, and he took up an imposing position at the crest of the peak with his team framing over the crest of the ridge. Naruto Clone 1 wanted to make a chef's kiss sound, but refrained itself in order to capture the scene that was playing out. 4 shinobi in chakra armor and weird-looking helmets stood below the Konoha group and took up poses. The clone hoped Guy, who was wearing a loose-fitting black kimono with a bear-skin cloak and black fingerless gloves. To his chagrin, he wore a bandana that was eerily reminiscent of Kakashi's face mask. Guy also borrowed one of Naruto's extra-long 78-inch katanas as a prop. Guy preferred using his fists, but he was passable as a kenjutsu practitioner, especially after training with Naruto. One of Naruto's clones had grabbed Shizuka and cloaked her in a chameleon genjutsu and he tied her hands quickly and gagged her, much to her confusion and dismay. Naruto may be getting a little too into the acting, but he wanted some high-quality, genuine, footage. The clone spawned a quick shadow clone that used Shunshin to transport Shizuka, who appeared behind the snow shinobi. Guy's eyes widened slightly, but now his lines Naruto gave him made more sense. He felt Naruto Clone 3 shift behind his shoulder to get a better shot of the team below. Guy scowled deeply and fixed a look of rage on his face. You cretins! Unhand the maiden and step aside. Your unjust rule of Snow Mountain will no longer be tolerated. Guy roared out, which confused the hell out of the snow group. Lee saw Shizuka tied up behind the shinobi and only remained calm because he felt a calming hand from Naruto Clone 2. The clone fed him his line and said that everything would be okay. Lee didn't have to fake the look of concern and fury on his face as he looked down at Shizuka. My lady, fear not, I will dispatch these scoundrels and come to thy rescue. Lee shouted while Neji and Tenten struggled to remain professional at the absurdity of the situation. Naderuga, the leader of the snow group, was beyond confused. These strangely dressed people were shouting at him and he honestly had no clue what was going on. That was when he heard a muffled groan and turned around to see Shizuka tied up. He grabbed her roughly by the arm and pulled her to him, which was a big F mistake. Lee wouldn't tolerate Shizuka being in danger any further and he disappeared in a crackle of lightning, which was Lee's chakra nature and the side effect of using lightning reinforcement. This made him as fast as Sage Mode 1 Naruto, which meant that he was faster than anyone the Snow Shinobi had ever seen. Before Nader even turned around, he was sent flying down the hill of the iceberg and into the ocean. Lee grabbed Shizuka and freed her from her bindings and placed a passionate kiss on her lips to stop the shouts of anger and promised vengeance. It was film gold and Naruto was happy with the opening scene of the first battle in Snow Country. Lee's actions caused all hell to break loose. Team Guy darted forward and engaged their targets. Neji took Mizor, the big, goofy-looking guy that somehow propelled himself on a snowboard. Tenten engaged the pink-haired Kunoichi that had somehow sprouted wings out the back of her armor. Guy bounded down the mountain to engage Nader and Lee partnered with Shizuka to engage a bulky male shinobi that was also wearing chakra armor. Neji's fight against Mizor, and action. Neji chased the shinobi that was riding down the icy peak on his snowboard. The terrain and shinobi item gave his adversary an advantage in mobility, at least for the moment. As he gave chase, he remembered Naruto's instructions. Never put yourself at risk, don't underestimate your enemy, but feel him out and do your best to put on a show. As Neji closed the distance at the base of the peak, he saw that he had about 50 square meters to work with. He unsealed the bow out of his right wrist and the first arrow auto-loaded in his bow before he let loose. The arrow sailed through the air and missed as Mizor was able to swerve his snowboard to dodge the projectile. However, he wasn't ready for the chakra explosion that erupted at the point of impact. Mizor was forced to regain his balance and he came to an abrupt stop. Mizor scowled as he unlatched himself from the chakra board and he pulled it onto his arm to use it as a long shield. He unsealed a tanto and turned to engage Neji. You cannot defeat me, Leaf Shinobi. I am blessed with the chakra armor. None of your attacks will break through my defenses. Neji, assigned the role as the archer of the hero's entourage, recited his lines with a Hyuga-style indifference. I care not, S. You will perish today for my lord and lady. Mizor ed his head in confusion. What the hell are you idiots talking about? We are here to kill you and capture the princess. Now come and meet your death. Mizor began running at Neji, who was severely unimpressed. Neji pushed chakra into the loading seal for explosive arrows and he notched 2 of them simultaneously. Neji let loose the arrows at Mizor's feet once again, knowing that the arrows weren't likely to penetrate the chakra armor. The arrows impacted on either side of Mizor's feet and moments later an explosion sent him careening toward Neji. Neji sealed his bow and powered up his right fist and arm in chakra. He focused the chakra into a sharp point that covered his closed right fist. Neji's front foot slid forward, and he slammed a debilitating punch at the airborne Mizor. Mizor had never faced an enemy that he couldn't handle. He was the 3rd strongest shinobi in Snow Country and his armor was always able to give him a decisive advantage in battle. He usually reveled in his enemies' confusion and frustration when his armor absorbed their jutsu. However, this shinobi wasn't targeting his armor. He was targeting his feet and working around his strengths to exploit his weaknesses. Mizor's breath left his lungs, and he felt a piercing pain in his gut when Neji's right fist connected right below his diaphragm. The abrupt change in momentum sent him skidding toward the ocean in a crumpled heap and he could feel blood leaking out of his abdomen. He pulled back his hands and saw that they were covered in blood, and he could feel a hole in the chakra armor. Mizor rose to a knee with one hand still covering his gut and he scowled at Neji who once more had his bow in hand. Naruto Clone 4 took up a position in between Neji and Mizor and he focused the camera on Neji who was about to deliver his kill line and kill shot. Neji fixed his face into a stony and indifferent visage before he spoke in a low and menacing tone. With this arrow, I send thee to thy maker. Neji let loose an arrow that had condensed and sharpened chakra in its tip that sailed through the air in a low and menacing hiss. The arrow glowed brilliantly as the chakra tip fought against the defenses of the chakra armor, but after milliseconds of resistance, that arrow's momentum penetrated through the armor's front and stuck through Mizor with its tip poking out of his back and the feathers of the arrow stuck in a black and blue array over his heart. The snow shinobi fell forward unceremoniously with blood dribbling from his mouth. Tenten vs Fubuki, and, action. Tenten jumped down the hill slower than her teammates, but she was unleashing volleys of wind-covered kunai at the pink-haired kunoiki as she went. This, of course, drew Fubuki's attention and she leaped into the air before her wings expanded and she began soaring over the battlefield. Now, Tenten knew why she was assigned this target. She kept the pink-haired girl's attention on her and bounded away from the evolving fights. She rounded the side of the peak that was closer to the boat, but she knew that Naruto would protect the crew and vessel if worst came to worst. Tenten launched volleys of sealed kunai and shuriken into the air at her winged opponent. The kunoiki proved elusive as the air filled with steel and the armor is able to absorb the few kunai that clinked off the front. Tenten, seeing that her current tactics weren't working, began to recalibrate her plan of attack. She paused momentarily, which prompted Fubuki to start the shit talking. Little leaf girl, you can't touch me when I am in my armor. Your puny little weapons could never penetrate the peak of Snow's technology. Fubuki shouted in mid-flight. Tenten was enraged by the taunting of her precious weapons. She took a deep breath and remembered that she was not solely a weapons expert anymore. She also remembered that if she wanted to get into the movie that she would need to say her lines. You, who work for an unjust ruler, dare talk down to me. I will shoot you down and free the people of Snow Mountain from your oppression. Fubuki was confused, very, very confused. She had her head mid-air, and she knew that she only had a minute or two more of flight before she would need to recharge the chakra armor. What the hell are you talking about, girl? Tenten sighed before schooling her features. Our Lady is the rightful ruler of Snow Mountain. Your dictator killed her father and unjustly claimed her throne. You will perish to the divine beauty of my steel. Ten palmed a brace of shuriken and focused her chakra into placing a fuinjutsu seal on the shuriken. Ten always loved explosions and she felt like blasting this pinky out of the air would give her some satisfaction. She finished molding the chakra, took aim and let loose the 10 shuriken. They arced through the air in a shotgun pattern and chased Fubuki, who swerved hard to the left, but it wasn't enough. 10 mid-sized explosions blew up over her right shoulder and the concussive blast sent her flailing into the ground in a mix of arms, legs and wings. Ten didn't waste any time and she unsealed her favorite wakizashi, affectionately dubbed Needle. She dashed forward as Fubuki was trying to recover from the impromptu crash landing. Ten was able to close the distance as Fubuki shakily rose to her feet with 2 kunai in hand. As Ten was running, she heard the Naruto clone tell her to draw this out, so she held back in the opening strike of the battle. A 5-minute, one-sided, Kenjutsu battle began as the Snow Kunoiki was forced to go through 2 sets of kunai due to Ten's sword shattering them. Ten was highly skilled, and all of her moves were graceful and efficient. The Kenjutsu dance was able to sever both mangled wings and it was able to shred some of the chakra armor. Fubuki now had blood trickling out of no less than 8 gashes and her armor's core was cracked. She grunted as yet another shallow slash forced her to bleed more of her own blood. Ten then got the go-ahead to finish the fight, but the Naruto clone asked her to capture this opponent. Ten offered a slight nod before she dashed forward and Fubuki screamed as 2 new gashes appeared at the back of her kneecaps. She fell to the ground, no longer able to support her own weight and her hands held her up as she hunched over. Ten smashed the hilt of her wakizashi into the base of Fubuki's neck and sent her to the realm of the unconscious. You know, Ruto, those lines were funny. They were so confused that it was honestly hilarious. Ten chirped as she applied a chakra locking seal to the base of Fubuki's neck. The clone let the chameleon jutsu drop and answered Ten, yeah, I knew it would. I had to change the novels a bit, but you can't fake this quality of fight. The producer is going to need a change of pants when I show him this footage. Ten waved him off, yeah, so can I change out of this silly costume now? Naruto clone chuckled, sure thing, Ten, thanks for playing along. Might Guy vs. Nader, ready, action. After Lee sent Guy's target flying, he suppressed the inner call of his flames of youth. He wanted to support his student and offer his praise. That being said, Guy was in business mode, and he would do anything for Naruto. Thus, he kept the grizzled and hardened face of the hero's sensei on, and he dashed at high speeds to locate Nader. Guy had to suppress a chuckle at the sight of the Snow Squad leader. The man was soaking wet, and his cloak clung to his chakra armor. He was scowling as the icy sea water fell from his cloak and hair. Nader spit on the ground and growled at Guy. What are you doing in my country, Konoha Nin? Guy tried to remember his lines and forgot, so he turned toward the invisible Naruto and asked for a line check. Nader watched the man nod before Guy turned back to him with a scowl on his face. Your country, you, who support the insurrectionist, claim that this is your country. My lady is the rightful princess and queen of this country. Nader scowled, that knows nothing of this country. She fled when she was a child. She should surrender to my lord and die in disgrace. Guy didn't have to fake the anger that flared to the surface upon his face. You insolent whelp. My lady is a good woman that was forced out of the country as a child. I will fight and die for my lady. Naruto Clone 1 kept the camera focused on the intimidating figure that was Might Guy. In his outfit, he carried a menacing presence, especially when his hardened eyes lit aflame with a just anger. Guy didn't exchange any more words. He slowly unsheathed his katana from his back and took up an opening stance. Nader didn't seem to like this, and he started weaving through hand signs before calling out, Ice Style, Winter Blizzard. Guy coated his body in an earthen chakra, and he darted around the icy blizzard that erupted between him and his opponent. He was forced to reroute once more as an ice wall with spikes on it appeared in front of him. This didn't deter Guy, who was dedicated to using the katana as his character, Kashi, used in the book. Guy used 4 rapid slash to disintegrate the ice kunai that Nader had sent his way. He made a show of swinging his katana sharply down to his right hip, as if he were clearing the blood off it, after blocking the projectiles. You jutsu are cold and lack the fiery passion of the flames of you. I mean your icy jutsu just shows how cold and heartless your lord's reign is. Guy's challenge faltered due to the near relapse into the flames of youth. Nader had his head to the side as he continued weaving through hand seals. He saw that Mizor was defeated, and he saw Fubuki get blown out of the sky. He now knew that he needed to retreat, which was why he was weaving through 52 hand seals, grateful that this oath was letting him. As he held the last seal, he issued his challenge and warning to his opponent. Do not think that you will be successful in your mission. We will kill you and capture the princess, one way or another. I leave you with this gift today, so that I may kill you in our future battles. Nader shouted as he slammed his hands into the ice. Oh shit. Guy, get back to the boat. Naruto's wood clone broke the chameleon jutsu and shouted. Guy felt the ground quaking and he saw the ice cracking beneath his feet. He wasn't going to let this foe go and he gripped the katana by the hilt over his right shoulder and hurled it at Nader, who still had his hands on the icy ground. Guy let the katana go with a mighty roar and it hurled through the air and chunks of ice as it ripped Nader's left arm off below the elbow. As the sword ripped through the arm, a massive whale made of ice rose from the base of the iceberg and cracked everything around it. It leaped into the air with a roar under Guy's position before it crashed into the iceberg. Chunks of ice and water flew everywhere from the point of impact and a mighty crack rang out through the icy ocean air as the iceberg began shattering. Before the whale surfaced, Guy disappeared in a black blur as he moved to gather his students and make it back to the boat. A Naruto clone formed out of the wood clone and dove into the ocean water to get his boss katana back. It was an absolutely epic shot, and it would go well in the movie, but that was an extra long, chakra steel katana that Naruto didn't want to part with, damn it. The wood clone followed Guy back to the boat and noticed that Lee and Shizuka were already clearing the icy peak on their way back to the vessel. Before the boat came in sight, the shadow clone appeared in a shunshin and handed off the katana to the wood clone before popping itself. Back on the boat, Naruto had remained in a standing meditative position, and he felt all of the fights. As he thought, his allies had everything well in hand. Then, he felt the massive chakra surge and the ice jutsu coming from the base of the iceberg. He gathered the few crew members that were on the iceberg and got them ready for a rapid departure. He greeted Ten and sealed the snow kunoiki into a stasis scroll. He saw Neji, Lee and Shizuka darting down the icy peak towards the boat as the ice cracked. He saw the director ordering the film crew to capture everything as the cameraman leaned over the boat. Finally, he saw Guy and his wood clone close the distance to the boat before leaping high into the air and landing on the vessel as the ice gave out underneath them. Welcome back, Guy. Where is my katana? Naruto asked, immediately noticing the absence of Heaven's Edge, an extra long chakra steel katana that he had custom made and spent hours engraving seals into. Guy chuckled nervously and fell into his sheepish pose. Boss. He threw it like a spear at their leader. Took the guy's arm off, but I had to send a clone into the ocean to retrieve it. The wood clone informed him with the camera harness still on its shoulder. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, thank Kami. Good call on that. I will give you some extra chakra so you can stick around longer. Maybe you can assist me tonight with my husbandly duties. The wood clone beamed a gigawatt smile at its creator. Thanks, boss. Guy wiped off his sweat drop and looked around at his team. It seemed like everything went well. Okay, Naruto, that was a good fight. What's next? Guy asked with a proud thumb up. The squad closed around their leaders as Naruto answered. Well, we make landfall and rendezvous with the samurai. From there, we will shoot some scenes and make our way to Doto's castle. I am sure he will try to ambush us on our way, but it is tough to ambush someone who can passively sense every life signature within 10 miles. Sandayu nodded. Yes, I am a believer now. So, we will dock at Cold Point Port and rendezvous with my friends there. From there, it will be a 2-day journey through many mountain passes on our way to the fortress. Guy nodded along. How much longer to Cold Point Port? Sandayu answered promptly, we will get there by nightfall. Naruto clapped his hands and drew everyone's attention. Team 9, thank you for playing along. At this point, Naruto took a wind-powered punch to the back of his head, which he didn't even budge to. He turned and cast an apologetic look at Shizuka. Yeah, I am sorry about that, Shizuka. My clone went off on its own and did that. You have read the book, so I hope you can understand. Thank being said, I truly apologize for putting you in danger. Naruto bowed, along with his remaining clones, toward Shizuka. Shizuka blushed and suddenly turned abashed. Sigh. It's okay, Ruto. I forgive you. Lee swung an arm over Shizuka's shoulders. My rival, if you ever do something so unyouthful to my Shizuka again, I will not hesitate to open the gates on you. Naruto adopted his sheepish pose, but it was Kurama that answered, that sounds like a good fight, Lee. Maybe I will take you up on that. Naruto did give me 8 tails and a bunch of sage chakra yesterday. Lee held his hands up in surrender and chuckled nervously. No, Lord Kurama, my flames of youth cannot stand up to your eternal flames. Kurama chuckled heartily. What about you, Guy? Care for a youthful spar once we make landfall? Guy held out 2 thumbs up with his trademark smile, complete with the glint of sunlight. Yes, Lord Kurama, it would be a most youthful endeavor. Kurama waved him off. Enough with the Lord business. I appreciate the respect, but you are close friends to my eternal partner. It is not needed. Guy bowed to Kurama. Thank you for such an honor, Kurama. Kyuki approached the group with her 3 blonde guards. Did everything go well? Neji answered with an unusually sarcastic tone. Yes, it was quite enjoyable. Something about seeing the clueless and confused faces when we were going through our lines was quite satisfying. Ten giggled. It sure was. It felt awkward at first, but it was fun. Naruto, how did the shots turn out? Naruto shrugged. Still need to review the footage. Plus, I haven't absorbed my clones yet. So, I dunno. Shizuka growled. It better have been worth it. At Kyuki, Temari, Samui and Ino's expectant looks, Naruto explained how one of his clones tied her up, gagged her and placed her near the enemy shinobi for the footage. Of course, this earned incredulous looks that devolved into a fit of girly giggles as the stories continued. The nervousness about treating live combat as a movie slowly faded and everyone got into the project of making the most kick-ass movie of all time. For the director's part, he couldn't believe that shinobi weren't used in all movies. They were invaluable assets in production with the cloning, transformations and many other talents. He would need to talk with his production company to hire shinobi for all future ventures. He was so impressed that he pulled Naruto aside and asked for his input. Naruto supported the idea and said that there would be many shinobi and ninja villages that would be interested participating. This was yet another way that Naruto found for ninjutsu to be used to make the world a better and happier place. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.